Thank you for tuning in to Tenacious Bees podcast. My name is Kayla, and every episode I will be sharing some drinks with my good friends Nona and Julia while they share a story with me about one of our sisters through the centuries. I really hope you enjoy this episode. I'm really excited about it. We're talking about two really great Egyptian women, Nefertiti and Nefertari. Also, don't forget to check out our Patreon page. We have a lot of really cool things to share with all of our subscribers, including exclusive artwork from our friend Justin. Check him out at Instagram at brush_bomb. He is amazing. And also, don't forget to share this episode with any of your friends that you think might enjoy this tenacious tale. Thank you so much, and we hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Tenacious Bees podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Nefertiti and Nefertari from our ancient Egyptian sisters. So let's start off with a little segment I like to call, What Does Kayla Know?
I know their names. I'll be honest, I really thought that they were the same person because I have always heard one of the other, but I guess I've never I've never seen them together. So I had autocorrect in my brain, just
aren't they the same
accepting
person?
that it was the same thing, just spelled different ways or things like that happen. But I've heard kind of tidbits here and there, nothing that stuck out in my brain that I could pull right now. I might get refreshed from you guys telling me some things, but I'm excited. I don't really know anything. It's really fun.
Well, we're going to start off with Nefertiti. Hopefully you can learn a little along the way.
So they're not the same person.
They're not the same person. It's two different women. They're about 1,000 years apart or 100.
Wow, not even at the same time.
No, they're about, I'd say 100 to max 300. They're not that far apart.
Oh dang, I was like they're sisters or something. Twins.
No,
totally unrelated
I
entirely.
feel like I'm getting a BOGO right now. Twofer.
Great. So Nefertiti, her name, it stands for the beautiful one has come. It kind of leads you up to understand what kind of woman she is.
Fucking hot.
Beautiful.
Known for throughout the land.
Why doesn't anyone talk like me like that?
Revered for her beauty.
Wow.
Straight up the pinnacle of Egyptian gorgeousness.
Good for her.
She was one of Egypt's most famous queens. She disappeared about 3,000 years ago, and she lived during the 18th dynasty of Egypt. She was the royal wife of the great Amenhotep IV, who ruled for 17 years.
I know that
Amenhotep.
one.
Nefertiti and Amenhotep were married. However, there's not really any idea on how they were married. There are speculations on who her father was, but it's never been guaranteed. There's not anything that's essentially written down.
Just hearsay.
She's a royal chick, this is a royal dude, and they royally got married. There is the speculation that she was the daughter of A.Y., who was one of the previous pharaohs.
Okay.
And actually becomes a pharaoh later on in life.
So wait, she married into royalty.
She might have been royal, but there's not really any guarantee.
Not
she was
enough records
most
of it.
likely royal because A or I was a royalty of some sort, and that was more than likely her father. But it's her history is ridiculously sketchy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both
That's a
of
shame.
them. So you definitely have to keep that in mind this whole episode. None of this is written in stone.
I don't get it.
Hieroglyphics.
It's
Silly.
literally written in stone.
I was like, is that foreshadowing? Is something gonna be said? Oh man, I felt so on the outside, but it's so obvious the whole time. Hieroglyphics. Yep.
So
Sorry.
Nefertiti, Amenhotep IV, right? They had 6 known daughters together. There may have been more, there may have been less. He had children with other spouses of his. They started their rule in Thebes, right? Which is the capital of Egypt at the time.
Right.
They erected several temples in Karnak, which is a city just outside of Thebes. It's a temple worship area.
And it was used to worship the god Aten. It was used to worship the god Aten, who was the Christian god, essentially. He was the big guy.
The big guy.
Yeah, and they have
in charge of all the other guys.
massive amounts of monks that followed him and worshipped him and took care to keep the mot, or the balance of life, in order.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were pretty important. They were keeping
the applesauce of life, if you will. I'm listening.
So, there in Karnak, right, she was depicted in a lot of the temples out there. Like, Nefertiti was, again, like, the epitome of beauty, right? She's out there with, shown, like, with her daughters, hanging around her, which was, back in the day, like, they didn't really erect and have a whole bunch of stuff about, women. It was always, like, the pharaoh, what the pharaoh did, and the pharaoh doing these things.
And the pharaoh's son, his heir, what are they gonna do?
Exactly.
Right,
So the fact that Nefertiti and her daughters were portrayed so often in these royal temples was kind of a big deal. So she's actually seen smiting enemies, riding chariots, like a solo chariot, and worshiping as a pharaoh would worship, which was back in the day unheard of. She was the first chick that this ever happened for, because to be shown smiting your enemies was like a very man thing. It wasn't like a lady of the house would not be doing that.
She was Egypt's first bad bitch.
Well,
Pretty
even
much.
other queens had never been shown doing that. Like
Wow.
that she is the only woman pharaoh that, right?
At this point.
Until
at this
her.
Point.
And I think for quite a long time after her.
And she's
like,
not the
her.
first, like, royal wife. Like, obviously, there's been other badass women. There's even been women who posed as men prior to her as a pharaoh. So for her to be portrayed that way as a royal wife was a big deal.
That's awesome.
Huge.
But in the 4th year of his reign, Amenhotep moved the capital of Egypt from Thebes to a new place called Akhenaten, which is a modern Amarna. I'm sorry. Akhenaten. It was the name of the city, and he changes his name. He changes his name to Akhenaten.
Is the city, and Akhenaten is him?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But he changed, yeah, I mean, so they moved there to modern Amarna, and
Amarna,
in his...
okay.
Yeah, that's the modern area.
See, that's where I got
don't
confused.
know.
You're like, no,
I'm like,
no.
is she trying to say Armenia? Like, I don't know.
Armana.
Got
yeah,
it.
that was the city
Armana.
So Amenhotep IV, right, he changes his name to Akhenaten, to worship his, god, Aten. Nefertiti was then first known as Nefertiti. She changed her name from just Nefertiti to Neferuaten Nefertiti.
Okay.
And this means...
First, middle,
just
last.
wait.
I got
just
it.
wait. This means beautiful are the beauties of Aten. The beautiful one has come.
Dude, can you imagine introducing yourself? Like, can you imagine being on, like, a Tinder date? And, like,
Beautiful
what
are
does
the
your
beautiful ones
name
of Aten. The
mean?
beautiful one has come.
Again, shows to the prestige
Dude, no,
and
look
beauty
at her.
of her.
I feel like she might have been awful, honestly.
No, so actually, Nefertiti, she is portrayed really pretty.
Yeah.
In all of her paintings. She's actually portrayed as having double ear piercings, which is new age for that time. It's very rare, right? It's shown as like a sign of royalty. She was also bald, so it was
good for her.
common for women back then to shave their heads, and men as well. I mean, A, the climate, but B, there was a huge lice problem back in the day.
Yeah.
So she would shave her head, and she would wear this magnificent, like, and I'm sure you've seen what I'm talking about.
Crown.
You're putting it in my head as you're saying it. It's
huge,
building.
like chef's hat.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that's what.
Ratatouille's
crown.
up in there.
Probably closer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
She would wear wigs, and she actually wore like a lot of foreign styles of wigs, which just showed her like affluence regionally, and not just like, I'm really affluent with my people. It was like everyone. And she also had really rare silver earrings, because like people would say that you only had to pick up the sand to find gold in Egypt at that point. So it was just kind of like throwaway. But she had silver earrings, and not only were they silver, they were from Greece, which is like big deal, because people all the way in Greece knew who she was, and they sent her gifts.
She's like the Marie Antoinette of Egypt.
She's the
like,
chick.
She's got it.
So she was actually like, her and Akhenaten, they were serving during like the most royal time of Egypt. Like, they're like top of the food chain out here. And so this is why the next thing they do is so influential in everything and is such a big deal. So their name change showed their love and their belief in the god Aten, right? They changed Egypt's religion from a polytheistic religion where we worship multiple gods. We have Ra, we have Horus, we have, all these different people.
Hathor, Isis.
Hathor, to having like a henotheistic one, which essentially means that there is one God, but he's not the only God. There's other gods out there, but we're going to worship one God, right? And not a lot of people were very stoked about this. So Egypt, and it's funny because their religion is called Ancient Egyptian Religion. And everybody been worshiping the same gods for thousands of years, hundreds of years, as long as they can remember, right? And for them to change everything over, we're going to worship this one God, Aten. People weren't very stoked about it. And basically what Aten is he's not like a person, he's not like a thing, he's a sun disk. And everybody would worship the sun disk, which is bringing down rays of sun, I guess, to the world,
Feed
right?
your crops.
Yeah.
It's important.
Keep you
I mean,
warm.
it's freaking sun.
Well,
It's a big
not
deal.
the sun. It's a sun disk, and that's very important because Aten is. Well, what was he the god of originally?
He's not a god. So it's a man who maybe like 1,000 years prior kind of like takes over Ra, right?
Right.
Ra
Who's
is like
the god of the sun.
Yeah, is like the sun,
He's the sun god.
But
He's
realize that the sun god, protrude these rings, and there was actually the sun disk that rained upon Ra to give him his worth.
They like already understood radiation, even though they're worshiping this like. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, basically to say that like they changed everything over from the old gods to the new to put it in a easy, stance.
So it's just like huge religious reform. Like, we're here, this is what we think, and all of you guys are gonna think it too. Congratulations. Get on board.
Exactly. I mean, ultimately it went like that for about, we'll say, 12 years of their reign, because Akhenaten in his 5th year that's when he changed his name and implemented all this stuff and changed the capital from Thebes to, modern Amarna. And at that point, 12 years down the road, he kind of just like dies. Like, it doesn't really go into like how, why, or whatever. But at his death, Nefertiti also disappears. Like, there's just like no more word from either of them.
But she doesn't die because, well, it's very well documented, when somebody of that royalty dies and gets mummified,
funeral,
and a burial,
it's a big deal.
thing.
Yeah, their tomb.
So there's nothing for Nefertiti at all.
Yeah, that's sketch.
Yeah,
that's
so there's nothing
fishy.
for her, and the reason being, how I gave her the name Neferuaten, Nefertiti.
She's the prettiest people that's pretty.
That was ever prettied.
That was ever prettied.
Is the most pretty.
So it's written into like the history and the lore and stuff after Akhenaten dies, the next pharaoh to take over for like a stint, like maybe like a year or two, is Nefer and Tot. Same chick. I'm thinking so, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't say Nefertiti specifically, but everyone speculates it's the same person. And then after that, because I'm sure you're aware of our friend King Tut, Mr. Tutankhamun, right?
Never
King Tut.
I was like, what? Both of your
Egyptian
faces. No, I know.
I almost lost my shit just now.
So
I'm so kidding.
King Tut, who's actually originally he was named Tutankhaten for the god Aten.
Whoa!
So Tutankhaten, he was born to one of Akhenaten's other wives. Like, because, remember Nefertiti only gave him 6 daughters.
So he took a second wife named Kia, and that is Tutankhamun's, mom. So Nefertiti is Tutankhamun's stepmom.
But before Tutankhamun was old, because he was probably like little tyke at this time when Akhenaten dies. So after, this Neferuaten person, wink wink, rules for a little bit, then somebody steps in named Smenkhare, who's just...
I is first. Nefertiti's father. He reigns in there for a couple years.
Yeah, so Nefertiti's supposed father we were talking about before, he steps in for another couple years.
The AY guy.
Remember, for a second we were like, we don't know, Anyways, so he steps in again for a couple years, and then after that, while Tut is getting old enough, Smenkhare steps in. And Smenkhare, people nowadays are speculating that was also Nefertiti as well. Under the guise of being a man named Smenkhare.
All these words have a lot of really unnecessary H's. I just want to throw that out there for how hard it was to write them down.
Look at the words. Understand.
There's lots of H's.
Understand how good their pronunciation is right now, because
we're doing
flawless.
Fairly good.
And so, I mean, here's the thing with it. So if Nefertiti was the Smenkhare gentleman, whether they be the same or not, at that time is when they believed that she tried to do, damage control and reinstate the ancient Egyptian gods and the moon priests before, Tutankhamun hits the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So that way he's not kind of like dealing with all this aftermath and all these people who are being upset. Because the whole thing with their religion is they had to worship through the pharaoh. So a lot of the common folk, they couldn't worship this new Aten because it was like, no, you must come through us in order to worship the sun disk. Versus people who can just practice in their own home.
Right.
So that caused a lot of.
It was very elitist. It was a thing.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
It's a big deal.
So they think that Smenkhare, quote, quote, Nefertiti, try to jump in and say, well, I'm going to change this so my son's not dealing with all these protests and problems.
Right. Yeah.
Again, hence Tutankhamun changing his name from Tutankamen to Tutankhamun.
Mm-hmm.
Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun.
From common to Mammon.
So, I actually read a source that was saying that before Nefertiti's husband died, like while he was still reigning and alive, she started to kind of revert back to like Amun and I'm gonna be called Nefertiti again. She kind of reverted back, and she was able to do this because the pharaoh was actually really sick. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why it's thought that she was shown smiting enemies and like doing all these like massively prestigious things for women is because he literally wasn't able. It's thought that he
for like a while.
He had some sort of like degenerative disease, mm-hmm. like muscular dystrophy or something akin to that, and also was possibly blind.
Okay.
So he literally just wouldn't have been able to, and she probably was the person he trusted the most to carry out those acts.
Which
because
is cool.
She was kind of like under his control.
Yeah.
In a way, like not under his control, like she had freedom, but he like if she did anything
he was like,
against
I can
him,
definitely
he was literally right
speak
there.
Through you.
Yeah.
I'll kill you. It's fine.
Sort of, yeah. But it was just like she was right there under his eye all the time, so it made sense.
Natural choice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Here's the kicker about it. When it's all done with, she might have been Smenkhare, she might have not been. She stopped being Nefertiti, like, right when her husband died. But they've never found her body. They've never found her gravesite. They don't know where she's buried or if she is or if she was stolen by thieves. They have seen, different burial plots that may be what should have been hers, and there is speculation that a lot of things from her tomb were stolen and put in King Tut's tomb. And King Tut originally had her sarcophagus, but he died at a very young age. But they've never been able to find her.
Sorry, but I think the speculation on why the stuff in King Tut's tomb was hers is really, really interesting.
Yeah, see, I was immediately pulled in by that. I was like, so, what? Who would do that?
So they think they did it because from when they die to when they are put in the sarcophagus and sealed in the tomb, you have 70 days.
Okay.
And in those 70 days, like, his tomb was being erected, but, like, nothing was ready for it. They had, like, 2% of the stuff ready. So they kind of just like did a rush job on like the other like 8% more of it.
Yeah.
And then they think up to like 80% of the stuff in his tomb was from what was supposed to be Nefertiti's tomb.
And then she just got the short end of the stick.
Yeah. Well, her body still has not ever been found.
Right.
But one of the most specific things about the sarcophagus was there are women on each corner holding up the top of it.
Okay.
And they have wings, but the wings are not original. They were added later, and that like wings are only on males' coffins. Like it doesn't matter the prestige or what, only male coffins. Mm-hmm. So they think it was like originally made for a woman and converted into a man, and there's all sorts of stuff like that where they added on hieroglyphs or cut off hieroglyphs that would make it for a woman or a man.
Do you think they just like back alley buried her?
We don't know.
They could have.
That's crazy.
There's also a lot of
King Tut, right? So when they King Tut,
right?
This guy.
So when they found his body and they were like observing his mummy and everything, they found that he was bashed in the back of the head.
I did see that.
There is a lot of speculation that it was Nefertiti who did it.
Stop.
Swear.
Yeah.
Because she was ruling as Smenkhare. King Tut got to be about, what was it, like 11, 12 years old? They're like, okay, yeah, you're good to rule now.
I thought he started ruling when he was 10.
He was tiny. He was a kid.
Because he died when he was 13.
Yeah, he was a child.
But it's speculation that she was the one that murdered him. I mean, that's like, mind you, that is a stretch, but it's also the reason why she may not have.
Can you imagine the gossip at this time?
Up.
Juicy as fuck. Woo! The whole time, just people in there like, I don't. Oh my god, I couldn't think of like what what people lived in. I just
Whoa.
wanted to say yurt, but they
It
didn't
gets-
live in yurts. I was just like, can you imagine the gossip up in the yurts? Like,
Kayla, it gets better from here.
The yurt tales.
So there's speculation that happened. Also, throughout all of Egypt, right? Because these guys were, like, again, during the royal age when Egypt was at its highest shit.
Right.
There is all of their, like, statues and all of their paintings and things like that. Like, people came in after the fact and went through and scratched out the eyes, the nose, and the mouth of Akhenaten and some of Nefertiti. Mostly Akhenaten. And almost all of Akhenaten's stuff, gone. Reason being, because they changed everything over to the god Aten, right? Everyone was so pissed about it that they crossed off your eyes so you can't see when you're in the afterlife. They crossed off your nose so you can't breathe in the afterlife. They crossed off your mouth so you can't speak the god's name when you get there.
You can't speak your name to the god to present yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know your name. You can't speak your name, so you can't ever get into the afterlife. So you're essentially
Just
like
in
stuck
purgatory.
in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Dude, people didn't like these guys.
But
That's nuts.
Nefertiti was like spared a little bit because, like I said, right at the end, it was like the last year, and she was like, "Oh shit, people don't like this. We're going back. Oh shit."
Yeah.
So she like started reverting back, and people saw that, and so they scratched off less of hers, not everything,
like a little bit.
It wasn't
like,
an Akhenaten. Like there was like
whisper.
no statues of him with his face anymore.
But there's a
crazy.
really, really famous bust of Nefertiti,
Mhm.
and it's pretty incredible. It's like one of the most incredible finds
I think
ever.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's
I
like
bet you do.
amazingly
Exactly what
famous.
you're talking about, yeah.
And like one of her eyes is missing. It's super creepy.
Yeah, I know
think.
exactly what you're
Super
talking
creepy.
about.
Mhm.
But yeah.
And that's why. That's crazy.
Because they found that and they were like so shocked because
Heck no.
they don't have a burial site for her. They don't have like because everybody has kind of a tomb that's dedicated to them.
Yeah, it was
all
just,
this
where
information.
Did this come from?
Her whole history is very speculative.
That's crazy. And I mean, honestly, like, I think it's a bit of a shame, too, because she's always resourceful. Like, I don't think she was, like, the best ever. I'd probably be pretty pissed if someone walked into my life and was like, everything you know, guess what? It's all different. And you gotta just figure it out. You gotta get used to it. That would suck, but...
Well, and it was causing, like, riots and, like...
Yeah, it's, like, kind of fascist. Like, it's, like, not great. She was not doing great things, but... You know, you have to commend the fact that she was just like, all right, I got myself in this situation. How can I see my way out? And the fact that there's so much speculation, like, she's here, she's here, she's here, she's here. Like, she left an impact on people, not necessarily positive all the way, but definitely she was able to dig herself out of all of those holes. And you have to at least commend that.
Well, she paved the way for future people. Like the next person we're going to talk about, Nefertari.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy how little is actually known about like most Egyptian women, especially, but Egyptian history in general, because the language is dead. We can't read it fully. You know, it's crazy. We really don't know like hardly anything at all, which is kind of amazing. It opens the way for so many new discoveries.
Yeah, it does. And the thing that is honestly, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's honestly weird to me because I feel like women were held, as far as world history goes, Egypt is one of the, to my knowledge, like highest regards for women in their culture. And
yeah.
They at least saw them as, with the exception of royalty and things like that, but they at least saw them as
people,
like at the bare minimum, because so many places around the world were like,
they were pretty solid,
baby
as
maker,
far as, like,
blah blah blah, but they were like, we're a community and you are people and you're my wife and I'm gonna hold honor to that, you know.
Personally, I think the Vikings stepped it up a little bit from there, and that was like the same era.
They definitely do.
Anyways,
but yeah,
we're gonna move on to our next lady now, and that would be Nefertiti Meretmut, and that means oh, Jesus Christ.
I said Nefertari.
Sorry.
I don't mean to make fun of the lady.
All a few drinks
but
in, guys.
Meretmut is my favorite.
It's Nefertari Meretmut, and it's beautiful. Nefertari Meretmut, which means beautiful companion, beloved of the goddess Mut.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, these names, man.
She's beautiful too.
Yeah. Oh, she was gorgeous as well. Very well.
Was she nicer? I have like a little hint. No.
Yeah, actually, she was a very sweet lady. She was pretty dope.
Like she
Ramses
could be my grandma.
was kind of a butthole.
I've heard
but
Ramses
like, she
is a
was
dick.
pretty dope. Anyways,
he doesn't dance at the parties.
So Nefertari's lineage is like vastly unknown. It's known that she was noble because of certain titles. They're very Egyptian. I'm not going to try and say them and butcher them.
Can you do one?
I didn't write them down.
God,
they're
hard.
literally like a whole bunch of vowels with like a whole bunch of consonants with like one vowel. And I'm just like,
Fine, I'll do without. It's
Okay.
fine.
But yeah, so most of her titles led us to believe that she's of nobility, but not royal. And she married Ramses II when she was about 13 and he was about 15. So, like really weirdly young for our society, but like awesomely well matched for ancient days.
Okay.
Super proud of that.
And they weren't married. Or they weren't related.
Yeah, and they weren't
related.
That's a big
which was
deal.
a huge
Dude,
thing.
it was a big
It was a
deal.
huge thing that
Like
she
still
was
a big deal some
full
places.
Egyptian. Alabama.
Wow.
North Carolina. What's
Yeah.
up, hometown? Anyways, yeah, it was a big deal. They weren't first cousins or siblings, for sure, but they were both full Egyptian, which is also a big deal. And they were both of like high status. So their marriage was probably politically arranged, but they came to be very much so in love. Like Ramses adored her.
Oh,
It makes me
He
so
had
happy.
somewhere between like 6 and like 11 wives, but they were
She was
married.
his favorite.
Oh yeah, like 100% his favorite.
Good for her.
And they had 6 children together. They had 4 boys and 2 girls for sure. Like that's like documented on temples and stuff. But she might have had more than that. We don't know.
She's just popping them out her whole life.
Oh yeah, that was the Egyptian way. What's actually really funny? Egyptians used all sorts of weird shit as contraceptives, and like my favorite one is stuffing alligator dung up your vagina.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my.
Yeah, no.
How are they still fertile after that, let alone alive? What?
There was some good ones.
What? Why alligators? Because they're scary? Like, what the fuck?
Hey, if you could tackle an alligator, you could tackle this.
If you can bring me some dung, you can get this. Oh no. Okay. Yeah,
Good
so
to know.
Ramses ruled for 67 years.
67.
And they were married, and he lived to be over 90.
That's insane.
That's
like
crazy.
150 in not modern years.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah. So they were married for over 24 years. They were married for 24 years of his reign. But I don't exactly know the difference from like when they got married to when he started reigning. So like
they were in the
24.
19th dynasty, whereas Nefertiti was in the 18th dynasty.
Right.
I'm so sorry. I wish I knew the exact amount of years between the two. I just don't.
I did at one point, but
It's all gone now. It's fine.
yeah, it's cool.
We're moving on.
But yeah.
We don't have degrees. It's okay.
So at this time, like, whose child was whose? Because like we said earlier, and in this one, like, the pharaohs had more than one wives. They'd have like a harem of wives, but they would have a main wife,
So
and that was like usually like only 1 or 2 at the same time, but sometimes like up to as many as they wanted, really.
They're the pharaoh, dude.
Yeah, they're the pharaoh. But like Ramses, I think for most of their marriage only had her.
Okay.
And
he
then
loved
after,
her, dude.
He
like,
loved her
we can't
so
explain
much.
like how much it is.
But like total, Ramses had 45 plus sons and 40 plus daughters. So like we don't even know how many people are related to this guy.
Wow.
But all of like whose child was whose is determined by like where the children appear. Like, do they appear next to this wife of his? Do they appear on this certain temple that has relation to this wife? Like they'll actually be like depicted as like a flat statue, you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like,
no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like as at that time, and I was like, well, like I hope it's determined by where they come out of. Like, how did people not know?
No, yeah.
Got
no,
it.
for us.
That's how we know. Okay.
Yeah. So Nefertari is the second royal wife to have her own temple. Nefertiti, a girl, was number 1.
Can I decide after which one is my girl?
I mean, sure. Well, I will both be your girl.
The first one sounds alright, but I don't know if I'd want to like have a political conversation with her.
I mean, you know.
This sounds pretty
Speaking
cool.
of political conversations.
Yeah, Nefertari was an amazing diplomat. She was
Dude,
well known
like
all throughout
her.
the lands. And so her temple, it's crazy. This is like insane. So her temple was constructed because of a battle that they won against the Hittites
which is like kind of like neighboring, like
they're close by, but they won this battle against them, and then Nefertari actually became their friends. Like, she sent correspondence letters and was always referring to the queen, and she was always referring to her as sister. She was saying, "Sister, please take these gifts I have sent you." And she sent like beautiful gold necklaces, and she'd be like, "Sister, can we please like talk about this and discuss this?" But it was really beautiful.
It's
and like
the
her
world's
writing,
first feminist.
speaking of,
Awesome.
she wrote. She was her own scribe. So
wow,
she
that
wasn't
was huge.
Those were for just
huge.
priests who
Huge.
could read and write.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she would usually have, because she didn't speak their language, so she would have a bilingual scribe, and she would write out her letter,
Wow.
give it to the scribe who would rewrite it, and then she would get it embossed on a copper plate and send it to them.
That's
Dude.
bougie as hell. That's crazy. Wow. Good for
Yeah.
her. That's huge.
Oh, hey guys, I fucked up earlier. Nefertari's the one with the earrings from Greece.
I wanted to correct you, but I was like,
womp,
let her roll with it.
Womp.
I'm sorry, guys.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's all good. It's fine. It's great.
I've been drinking tonight. That's not my
okay.
thing
You know, that's what we
usually.
do. That's what we're here for. We're learning.
But yeah, so she actually has multiple names which show her different positions
They're the best.
through life. And so I'll go through a list of literally all of her nicknames, and then I'll tell you which ones were like the meaningful ones.
Okay.
So she was Great of Praises, Sweet of Love, Lady of Grace, Great King's Wife, Great King's His Beloved, Lady of the Two Lands, Lady of All Lands, Wife of the Strong Bull, God's Wife or Bride of God, and Mistress of Upper and Lower Egypt.
Okay, well, you know what? If my husband doesn't start calling me the Sweet of Loves, I'm getting a divorce. That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, Sweet of Love was more than likely like Ramses II's nickname for her, because like that was like, okay, I don't want to say lover because it wasn't like a sexual thing. Like, she was his.
Not all the time.
I mean, you know, they had 6 kids. But
Allegedly.
But yeah, so that was like her like loving, like wifely title. And then her title that showed what an amazing politician were the Lady of Two Lands and Lady of All Lands.
I like the progression there.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Two
good
lands?
job. Holy
All the land.
shit, you did it, you know? I like it.
And then the God's Wife or Bride of God shows that she actually was a priestess, and that's why she was literate more than likely. Okay, again, all of this is speculative. We're telling a story that is very sketchy to begin with.
But yeah, it makes sense, you know.
Well, and so she was actually even shown in her hieroglyphs in her tomb. Ramses built this like beautiful giant tomb with like depictions floor to ceiling, which was uncommon.
Incredible.
It's
and the whole
nuts.
ceiling of the whole thing is the night sky, and it's like constellations, and it's amazing.
I want to be buried there.
Never once is Ramses mentioned in her tomb. Not a single time.
It was all her.
It was all her.
All her.
And she's shown in a few of the depictions that she is a
priestess.
A priestess, I'm sorry. But
That's
she's like a priestess. She's shown as a
okay,
scribe. She's shown, depicted as like a military figure, political figure. She's pictured as a pharaoh.
I like her better. I like her so much. She sounds great.
I think her husband
She's awesome.
loved her.
That's so cute.
He loved her almost as much as he loved himself.
Good. I forgot Ramses was a dick for a
Yeah.
second. I got caught up. I was swooning.
So the main painting, like the one with the most focus in her tomb, is actually, so there's this thing called the Book of the Dead, and it's like it's this weird book where it's like the same instructions all the time, but it's like a fill in the blanks with your own name and
it's
stuff.
Like the Mad Libs of the afterlife.
Kinda. But it's like to guide you through the quests of the afterlife and like get you to the judgment.
Interesting.
And so one of the scenes is you have to greet Thoth, who is the god of knowledge and literacy. So she greets Thoth, and she's giving and she presents him with writing instruments and a tablet. And as like an offering, and she says, "I am a scribe." And it's like, that's fucking powerful.
That is
is
fucking
fucking-
powerful.
That's a big thing. And
That's
that's like
huge.
the main one she chose. Like, that
Wow.
was her, this is my greatest achievement, is that I am a scribe.
She's like, screw you, Thoth.
Yeah. So she also, there's Ramses, like I said, there's the temple dedicated to her.
Yeah.
So he built 2 right on the border of Nubia, just to be a dick and be like, look how fucking scary and imposing we are. Oh, we're so large here. So, man, I had the dimensions written down, guys.
Is it huge?
They're fucking enormous. So, I really want to say it's 69 feet tall, and that might be right.
69!
So, Ramses temple, they're like 69 feet tall, like 114 feet long, like massive
Wow, that's
temple.
Yeah.
And they're built into a cliff face.
okay.
Oh,
Or not
yeah.
a cliff, like it's at the bottom, like it's
But
not
it was like a big deal to build it. They
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
just
yeah. It's
grab
not like a
some
cliff
shovels.
dwelling though.
Yeah.
Like, it's different. Anyways, so his statue's fucking huge, enormous,
That's crazy.
We'll show you pictures.
Yeah, that's
huge.
huge.
And then her statues are like still fucking giant. They're like 45 feet tall,
But
and
they're
the
not
building's like
Ramses big.
80 feet long. But get this, dude. So there's one statue. This is her temple, by the way. But there's one statue of her.
Okay.
And then there's 3 statues of Ramses. But she's actually depicted, if you count the headdress, as a little bit bigger than Ramses.
Because it's the one where it's like you walk up to and there's the 2 pharaohs, like.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like-
yeah,
with the
yeah,
head-
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
But then there's like 2 off to the side, and it's like
Yeah.
Ramses, Nefertari, Ramses
Nice.
again.
You know what I'm talking about. You've seen
Yeah, I
it.
know exactly
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Okay,
Cool.
so the craziest part, size was a really big deal in Egypt. Like, it represented a lot more than just like physical size.
It was power.
So
It was well.
that's a
yeah.
huge deal that they
Well,
were the
and
same
if
size.
I remember correctly, Egyptians were a pretty short stature of people. So I could see that it would hold more weight.
I don't know that.
Not
for
like
sure.
5'2", but
no, I want to say they were like on the normal
Like
side
modern
for the
size.
world.
They were like, okay.
at that time.
yeah, I
you know,
didn't
not
know
like,
if that was a real fact that I had or if it was
No,
like
I
a.
think so.
If it was a
You
Caleb.
may be right.
It might. I don't know.
I
It might
don't
be a
think so,
Caleb
though.
brain thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. You guys know
knows?
how this brain works. I don't know.
I do know Nefertari. Her tomb was like robbed, so that's why it's like so immaculate that like all the walls are painted and stuff. Because obviously someone's not gonna be able to steal that.
Yeah.
Like, but her tomb was like straight up robbed, so all
Just, like,
all of
empty.
her gifts and things were not there. Her sarcophagus was missing. Her mummy was missing. They found just a few
Her
fragments.
mummy was. Her
Everything.
literal
Stole-
body
they
was
yeah,
stole her
missing?
body.
Her body, everything.
All that was left was just a few jars
Wow.
with like organs in it, or like
That's
part of the
messed up.
embalming process.
Yeah, a
and
few
part
of her organs are left.
Dang.
Mhm. But other than that, stripped.
Nothing.
People suck. That's
But,
awful.
You know what's really cool, Kayla, is her tomb is one of the best examples of like Egyptian paintings that we have.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
And a team of like multiple different countries came together and restored it actually incredibly well.
Better than the monkey Jesus lady.
Oh my god, dude,
What?
so much better than the monkey
Wow,
Jesus
well,
lady.
We'll talk about
Or the
monkey
soccer
Jesus.
statue guy.
Oh,
The
it's so
Ronaldo.
bad. Oh, it's so
Oh,
bad.
Julia, we'll get on it.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll show you.
But
That's
yeah,
good. I'm
so-
glad it went well for them.
No, dude, it's incredible, and it was like a bunch of like master artists, and they had to like. So what was happening was when they laid the plaster down and painted it, the plaster was too wet when they laid it,
Mm-hmm.
and the paint was also like they used too much paint at once,
Okay.
Oh,
and it was
no.
like not. I don't know, something else about it. I can't remember.
Like it didn't
but
set right or something.
yeah, so basically what was happening was like you had the rock, which was like a sandstone, but it was very salty.
Mm-hmm.
And so the salt was like crystallizing between the rock and the plaster
Oh.
and on top of the paint, because when they laid it down like 3,000 years ago, it was too wet, so it drew the salt out.
crazy.
And so the place it's
This
actually
is the history
worst.
I want to hear about. That's crazy.
I'm so glad you enjoyed. I was so excited about this
Like,
part,
my
you guys.
inner-
Like,
like,
this
my
is my
inner, like,
favorite part of
My
it.
inner geologist is just like, wow, look
Yeah.
at this. Wow, interesting.
Yeah, and so like
Interesting reaction.
they had to create like all these new types of like solvents and new ways
Wow.
to paint it, and like
Fascinating.
all these brand new techniques for preserving Egyptian wall
That's
paintings
awesome.
and stuff that they're still using in new discoveries,
That's
which
so
is
cool.
amazing.
That is so cool.
And it was an international collaboration that took place in Egypt with like Mexico was involved, the US was involved, Egypt was
Britain.
involved, England was involved, like so many countries were involved in this, and I just think that's such a like beautiful thing to come together
like,
to
if you're
preserve
we
our
can't
history.
agree about shit, but like at least we can
save our history.
Yeah, save history together.
I love it.
That is awesome. That's really cool.
So thank you guys. I mean, I hope that you all had a fun adventure listening into the story of Nefertiti and Nefertari. We hope that you guys take a listen again and have a lovely and wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed that episode, you should give us a follow. We are Tenacious V's Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also subscribe to our Patreon page and get an amazing art piece from Justin at Brushbomb on Facebook and Instagram. As always, this episode was spoken, edited, and recorded by Julia, Kayla, and Nona. All musical contributions are done by Staple Milk. Come back soon for some more mysteries.